I was looking for a seat. The alien princess grabbed my wrist and said, "Sit beside me." The hall was enormous. It stretched farther than Jake had ever seen. Lights floated above the high ceiling, glowing soft blue and green. The walls were smooth and shimmered like glass, and strange symbols moved slowly across them. All around him, aliens of many shapes and sizes walked to their seats. Some had 4 arms, some had no eyes, some floated in the air. Jake tried to stay calm. He had dreamed about coming here, but now that he was inside, he felt small and unsure. He carried a small pack on his shoulder and looked at the rows of seats. Each seat was shaped differently for each species. Some were wide and soft, some had straps, some were floating platforms. He looked for a simple seat for a human. Most were empty because the room was just filling up, but it was hard to find a space where he could fit without blocking anyone. "Excuse me," he said carefully to a large, green-skinned alien with 6 arms. The alien made a clicking sound and moved aside. Jake nodded and stepped forward. He was not the first human in this hall. A few humans had visited this academy before, but they were rare. Everyone here whispered about humans. Some said humans were weak, others said they were dangerous. Jake tried not to think about that. He just wanted to find a seat and keep a low profile. He spotted a seat at the far end, near the middle of the hall. It looked empty. He walked quickly, hoping no one would notice him. The aliens nearby looked at him with curiosity, some with suspicion. He could feel their eyes, small and large, warm and cold, all on him. He lowered his head and kept moving. Suddenly, a hand grabbed his wrist. It was not rough, but it was firm. Jake froze. He turned his head and saw a girl, or maybe not a girl. She looked human in shape, but her skin was smooth and light blue. Her eyes were large and violet. 2 small, curved horns rose from her forehead. She smiled gently at him. "Sit beside me," she said. Her voice was soft, but it had a sound that made him obey without thinking. Jake opened his mouth, but no words came out. He felt heat rush to his face. He looked around. Other cadets were staring. Some whispered, their voices soft but fast. Some stared openly with wide eyes. A few stopped moving. The hall became suddenly quiet around them. He followed her. She led him to a seat between her and another alien who looked very tall and thin. Jake lowered himself onto the seat, careful not to touch anyone. The alien princess, he thought she must be a princess, smiled at him again. "Don't worry," she said. "The seat is yours now." Jake nodded, still unsure what to do. His hands rested on his knees. His heart beat fast. This was not what he expected. He had thought he would sit somewhere unnoticed, maybe in the back. He had not thought that a blue-skinned alien with horns would grab his wrist and ask him to sit beside her. He tried to look calm, but the whispers were louder now. "Is that a human?" A small, orange alien whispered behind him. Its voice was sharp, almost like a chime. "Where did he come from?" a floating alien asked, spinning slowly in the air. "He dares sit beside the princess," said another voice, low and growling. Jake could not understand all of them, but he knew they were talking about him. He swallowed. He had to remind himself to breathe slowly. The princess looked at him. "You are nervous," she said softly. A little," Jake admitted. He was not sure why he said it. It felt safe to tell her. "That is normal," she said, her violet eyes studying him. "Humans are small, but they are not afraid. You will see." Jake nodded. He was not sure he believed her. He tried to focus on her face. Her features were soft, but there was a strength in her gaze. She did not look like someone who needed protection. And yet she had reached for him, and now everyone was watching. The hall began to fill more. More aliens arrived in waves, moving like rivers of color. Some walked on many legs, some slid on smooth floors. Jake's senses were overloaded. He had to concentrate just to keep from turning his head too much. Every new arrival made a small ripple of whispers through the hall. A voice boomed from the front of the hall. It was deep and carried easily. "Cadets, take your seats. The session will begin." Some aliens sat quietly, some whispered among themselves. The princess leaned slightly toward Jake. "Do not worry," she whispered. "They are curious, that is all." Jake nodded again. He tried to focus on her words. Curiosity, not fear, that was helpful. He glanced around. The seat beside him, other than the princess, was empty. He was aware of the weight of his pack on his shoulder. It felt heavier than usual. Maybe it was nerves. Maybe it was because of the way everyone stared at him. "Where are you from?" the princess asked. "Earth," Jake said simply. His voice was quiet but clear. "Earth," she repeated. She smiled slightly. "I have heard of your planet, a death world, is it?" Jake nodded. "Yes. Gravity is strong, the storms are strong. Life is hard, that is why humans are strong." Her eyes widened slightly. "Interesting," she said. "Tell me more later, I like to know about strong creatures." Jake blinked. He had not expected her to be interested in him. He felt a small spark of confidence. Maybe he would be able to talk with her without too much fear. The hall lights dimmed slightly. A large screen appeared at the front, showing the symbol of the academy. A tall alien with shining armor stepped forward. His voice was formal and strong. "Welcome, cadets from all galaxies. Today we begin the orientation for the new exchange program. Humans among you are rare, treat them with respect. Watch and learn," the crowd murmured. Some eyes turned to Jake, who tried to make himself small. He adjusted his pack quietly and kept his hands on his knees. The princess leaned toward him again. "Do you understand what is happening?" she asked. "I think so," Jake said. "I have never been here before." "Good," she said. "You will learn quickly. Humans learn fast." For the next hour, the hall filled with lectures and instructions. Jake listened as best as he could. Words were strange, some in alien languages. The princess occasionally translated for him in short phrases. She did not do it all the time, only enough for him to understand. He found this easier than he expected. Other cadets watched, some with surprise, some with jealousy, some with curiosity. Jake noticed some nodding at him. Some eyes followed him closely when he moved slightly or adjusted his seat. He felt the weight of their attention, but he also felt something strange. He felt important, not because he wanted attention, but because he had been chosen to sit here. During a break, food was brought in, not like Earth food. The trays had glowing liquids, colorful shapes, and smells that were strong and strange. Jake hesitated, unsure what to eat. The princess touched his arm gently. "Try this," she said. She handed him a small glowing cube. "It is safe for humans." He took it, smelled it carefully, and then bit a piece. It had a sweet, sharp taste, unlike anything he had had before. He swallowed. "You will learn more than food," she said with a small smile. "You will learn strength, courage, and wisdom. Sit beside me and you will see." Jake nodded. He began to feel a little less afraid. The whispers still came, the eyes still followed, but the princess had chosen him. That made a difference. As the first part of the orientation ended, Jake realized he had survived the first hour. He had not made a fool of himself. He had not been thrown out, and the princess had kept him close, guiding him without words sometimes. He looked at her and said quietly, "Thank you for letting me sit here." She smiled softly. "I chose you, that is different. You belong here, at least for now." Jake nodded again. He felt nervous but also proud. Maybe humans were not as weak as the others thought. The session ended and the hall began to empty slowly. Aliens went to their dorms, some chatting in loud voices, some floating silently. Jake stood with his pack on his shoulder. The princess stood beside him. "Are you ready for the next part?" she asked. I think so," Jake said. He tried to smile. "Good," she said. "We will see if humans are really strong. You will have to show them." Jake swallowed. He did not know exactly what she meant, but he felt a small spark of courage. Sitting beside the alien princess had changed something. For the first time in a long while, he felt like he belonged somewhere. He followed her out of the hall, through long corridors with lights and symbols that shifted under his feet. The whispers were still there, but now he was ready. He would face them. He would survive. And somehow he had the feeling that this was only the beginning. The corridors of the academy were long and wide. Lights floated along the ceiling, soft and steady, showing the way. Aliens walked in groups, some talking, some moving silently. Jake followed the princess, Lena, trying to keep up. He was careful not to bump into anyone. Every time he glanced around, he saw strange shapes and colors, and he realized just how different this place was from Earth. "This way," Lena said, her voice calm. Her fingers brushed his arm lightly to guide him through a crowd. Jake felt a small surge of relief. Somehow, being close to her made the chaos less frightening. They arrived at a large room. It was open and bright, with walls that seemed to move, showing landscapes from different planets. Some were frozen, icy worlds, others were deserts with red sands. The floor was smooth and soft, and the ceiling reflected the sky, but the sky changed constantly, from blue to purple, from stars to glowing suns. "This is the common training room," Lena said. "Cadets practice here every day. You will see many kinds of creatures, and all of them are strong in different ways." Jake looked around. A group of tall, muscular aliens lifted huge stones as if they weighed nothing. Another group floated in the air, spinning and moving without touching the floor. A few smaller aliens ran quickly, their legs moving so fast they were almost a blur. Jake swallowed hard. This was not like any school he had ever known. "Humans are not strong like them," he said quietly. Lena's violet eyes focused on him. "Strength is not only about size or speed," she said. "Humans survive in hard worlds. That is strength too. You will show them." Jake nodded slowly. He was not sure how to show anything yet. He felt small among all these incredible beings. A bell rang, a deep sound that shook the room lightly. The cadets stopped what they were doing. An alien with 4 arms, shiny blue skin, and a long neck came to the center of the room. "Today we welcome new exchange cadets," the alien said in a voice that rolled like distant thunder. "Observe, learn, and prove yourselves." Whispers spread through the room. Many turned to look at Jake and Lena. Jake could feel dozens of eyes on him, some curious, some doubtful. He looked down at his hands. They were human hands, small, soft, not like the claws or tentacles he saw around him. "Do not worry," Lena whispered. "Watch first, then you will act. Humans learn fast." Jake nodded. He took a deep breath. He tried to see the strength in the others, the way they moved, the way they used their bodies and minds. Some lifted huge weights easily. Some moved with incredible speed. Some controlled strange powers with their thoughts. It was overwhelming, but he tried to focus. After a few minutes, the instructor called new cadets forward. Jake and a few others stepped out. Lena stayed at his side, her hand brushing lightly against his arm. He felt nervous, but also a strange sense of confidence. The first test was simple for aliens but hard for humans. They had to run across a floor that changed gravity constantly. The instructor raised a claw and the floor tilted, sank, and bounced in patterns. The large aliens ran easily, floating and jumping. The small ones moved quickly, twisting and spinning. Jake tried to run. At first his legs shook and he stumbled. Gravity here was different from Earth, but his body remembered how to fight against harsh conditions. He leaned forward, focused, and slowly began to keep pace. Lena watched him carefully. Her eyes narrowed slightly in interest. She had seen many species fail here, many strong and proud cadets stumble. But humans adapted. By the time he reached the end of the course, his chest heaved and his legs ached, but he had finished without falling. A few cadets clapped quietly. Some eyes widened. A few whispered. "You see," Lena said softly, "you are learning quickly." Jake looked at her and nodded. He felt a small pride growing in his chest. He had done something the others thought was impossible. The next exercise was more complicated. It involved lifting and moving objects while balancing on a narrow, moving platform. Other cadets struggled. One alien fell into a soft pit, flailing its many arms. Another slipped and spun in the air before landing safely on its feet. Jake stepped forward carefully. He lifted a small metal box. It was heavier than he expected, but his hands and arms had grown strong from Earth's harsh environment. He balanced on the platform, slowly moving the box from one end to the other. His heart pounded, but he kept steady. He saw other cadets watching, some surprised, some doubtful. "Humans are clever," Lena said, her voice calm. "Strength is not only in size but in courage and focus." Jake tried to imagine the words in his mind. Courage, focus. He had survived storms, strong winds, and harsh conditions on Earth. That was what Lena meant. After several exercises, a break came. Cadets rested and drank strange glowing liquids. Some ate food that changed color and shape as they chewed. Jake looked at it nervously. He had learned to eat strange things on Earth, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. Lena handed him a small glowing sphere. "Safe for humans," she said. "Taste it." Jake bit carefully. It was sweet with a tang of something sharp. He swallowed. His stomach did not hurt. He smiled slightly. "Good," Lena said. "You will learn many things here about food, strength, and mind. Watch carefully. Humans surprise many species." During the break, whispers spread through the room. Cadets discussed him quietly. "He is small for a cadet," said a tall alien with 6 arms. "Look how he moves," said a floating alien. "He keeps his balance like he has fought strong winds. Very strange." "He sits beside the princess," said another. "That is bold." Jake heard none of this clearly. He tried to focus on Lena. She was calm, watching him and the room. He felt safer beside her. After the break, the exercises became more dangerous. Cadets were challenged to work in pairs, using strategy and strength together. Jake was paired with a human girl named Emma. She was also an exchange cadet. She smiled at him and nodded. "Ready?" she asked. Jake nodded. "Let's try." They were given a large, heavy panel to move across a narrow, floating platform. Other cadets struggled. Some dropped their panels. Jake and Emma lifted theirs carefully. They moved slowly, balancing each step. The panel wobbled and Jake almost fell, but he focused. He adjusted his weight. Emma followed, steady. Finally, they placed the panel in the target zone. Cadets nearby clapped quietly. Some stared at them, impressed. Jake felt his chest swell with pride. Humans were small, yes, but they had endurance and cleverness. That mattered here. Lena stepped closer. "Well done," she said. "You see, humans survive when others fail. That is why you sit beside me." Jake looked at her. I do not know what to say," he said. "Say nothing," she said. "Watch, learn, survive. Words are not always needed." The next exercise tested the cadets' minds. They were given puzzles, some physical, some mental. Other cadets struggled with strange alien logic. Jake looked carefully at the shapes, thinking about Earth problems he had solved. He realized that humans solved problems differently, sometimes with strength, sometimes with patience. He solved the puzzle faster than expected. Cadets whispered again. Some eyes widened. A few scribbled notes. Lena's smile was faint but approving. "You see," she said, "humans are different, strong, clever, fearless. That is why I chose you." Jake felt a strange warmth. He had been nervous when he entered the hall. Now he felt like he belonged, at least a little. Sitting beside Lena, performing the exercises, surviving tests, he realized that humans had value in this strange academy. The final exercise of the day was a demonstration of teamwork. Cadets had to lift a large, floating structure and move it across the room. Many strong aliens struggled, arguing about the best way. Jake and Emma stepped forward. "Let's try it our way," Jake said quietly. Emma nodded. Together they approached the structure. They remembered what Lena had taught them: focus, patience, endurance. They lifted carefully, adjusted constantly, and moved steadily. Other cadets watched in surprise. The structure wobbled but did not fall. Slowly they reached the target. A quiet cheer rose. Lena clapped softly. "Humans are small," she said, "but they can achieve great things." Observe carefully, cadets. Humans survive because they do not give up. Jake looked around. He saw whispers, astonished eyes, and nods of respect. He felt proud. Lena's choice to sit beside him was more than a seat, it was a recognition of what humans could do. The day ended and cadets returned to their rooms. Jake walked beside Lena, tired but happy. "You did well," she said. "You surprised many." I tried," Jake said. "Trying is not enough," she said. "Humans endure. That is why you survive. That is why you sit beside me." "Remember that," Jake nodded. For the first time in a long time, he felt that being human was not a weakness. It was strength in ways that others did not understand yet. As they reached the dorm area, he looked at the other cadets. Some stared. Some whispered. Some had a new respect in their eyes. Lena smiled faintly. "Tomorrow," she said, "you will see more, not just strength, but danger. Humans are ready for danger. That is why I am here with you." Jake took a deep breath. He had survived his first day. He had survived the whispers, the strange exercises, and the alien eyes. And sitting beside Lena had made it possible. He felt a quiet confidence. Tomorrow would be harder, but he was ready to face it. Humans endured. That was their gift. And Lena had noticed. That was more than enough. The next morning, Jake woke early. The dorm room was strange, filled with soft lights that changed colors. The walls were smooth and glowed faintly. He sat on the small bed and stretched. His muscles ached slightly from the training yesterday, but he felt ready. The memory of sitting beside Lena, the alien princess, filled him with a quiet confidence. He quickly got ready and followed the hallway signs to the training arena. Lena was already waiting. She stood near the entrance, her violet eyes scanning the room. Her light blue skin glowed softly in the morning light that filtered through the transparent ceiling. "Good morning," she said. "Are you ready for today?" I think so," Jake said, adjusting the strap of his pack. "You will see today is not easy," she said. "Many cadets fail in the arena, but humans adapt. That is why you are here with me." Jake nodded. He tried to imagine what challenges awaited him. The training arena was the largest room he had ever seen. It stretched farther than any football field on Earth, and the ceiling arched high above like a glass dome. Strange platforms floated in the air, some moving, some spinning. Walls shifted constantly, changing shape and height. It looked like a puzzle combined with a battlefield. Other cadets were already there. Aliens of every type moved around, stretching, jumping, and lifting objects to test their strength. Some glared at Jake and Emma when they entered. Some whispered, pointing their claws and wings in curiosity. Jake felt the weight of their attention but reminded himself of what Lena had said. Humans survive when others fail. The instructor appeared in the center, a tall alien with long green arms and two glowing eyes. "Cadets," he said, his voice rolling across the arena like a wave. "Today you will face the challenge of endurance, speed, and strategy. Only those who can adapt will succeed." Jake and Emma exchanged a glance. They had trained together yesterday, but this arena looked far more dangerous. Lena leaned close to Jake. "Watch the others first," she whispered. "Learn their strengths and weaknesses, then act. Humans survive by observing and acting." The first part of the challenge was simple in words but hard in action. Cadets had to cross a wide platform filled with obstacles, swinging bars, rolling spheres, and sharp-edged walls that moved quickly. Aliens dashed forward immediately. Some jumped gracefully over obstacles, others ran with incredible speed. A few stumbled and fell into soft pits below. Jake hesitated for a moment. The platform moved beneath him, tilting and shaking. He remembered Earth storms, how he had learned to balance in strong winds. He took a deep breath and stepped forward carefully. He moved slowly, placing each foot firmly before taking the next step. A swinging bar came toward him. He ducked under it, feeling his heart race. A rolling sphere nearly knocked him over, but he leaned forward and kept his balance. He glanced at Emma. She moved beside him, steady and calm. Together they navigated the obstacles. The aliens nearby started to notice. Whispers spread. "Humans are slow but careful," a tall alien said. "They do not rush. Strange." "They survive," said another, floating in the air. "That is what counts." Jake and Emma reached the end of the first platform. Their legs shook and their breathing was heavy, but they had made it. Lena was waiting at the edge. "Very good," she said. "Humans are patient. You adapt. That is strength." Next, the cadets had to climb a wall that shifted constantly. Most aliens leaped and grabbed the edges with ease. Jake stared at the wall. It moved up and down, left and right. He could see other cadets falling and scrambling. He felt fear creeping in, but he remembered Lena's words, "Observe first." He studied the pattern. The wall had slow moments, quick moments, and dangerous gaps. He waited for the right moment, then jumped and grabbed a ledge. His fingers gripped tightly. He pulled himself up, hand over hand. The wall shifted and he moved with it. Other cadets stumbled, but Jake adjusted his body using balance and timing. Emma followed, her movements precise. They reached the top together. Cadets nearby stared, whispering about the humans' unusual method. Lena smiled faintly. "Observe, learn, adapt," she said. "That is the way humans succeed." The final part of the challenge was the most dangerous. Cadets had to lift and move a heavy floating platform across a section filled with traps. Spinning blades, falling panels, and shifting walls made the task deadly for anyone who rushed. Many aliens tried to move the platform alone. Some failed, falling into the soft pits. Some argued with teammates, losing time. Jake and Emma approached carefully. They studied the platform, feeling its weight. He realized that rushing would only fail. Slowly, they lifted the platform together. They moved in small, careful steps, adjusting constantly. A spinning blade came near. Jake ducked and pushed the platform slightly to avoid it. Emma followed, adjusting her balance. Other cadets stopped and watched. Some whispered in awe. "Humans are careful," a floating cadet said, "but they do not give up." "That is strange and strong." Finally, Jake and Emma placed the platform in the target zone. Their arms ached, their legs trembled, but they had succeeded. Lena stepped forward, her violet eyes bright. "Humans endure," she said. "They survive because they do not stop, even when others fail. Remember this, cadets, strength is not always what you see. Courage and focus matter more than size." Jake looked around. Some aliens stared at him with respect. Others whispered excitedly. He felt pride swell inside him. Yesterday he had survived, and today he had proven humans could endure. The instructor clapped his long, green arms together. "The humans have shown adaptability and focus," he said. "Other cadets, observe. There is more than one way to survive." Jake felt a tap on his shoulder. Lena was beside him, her smile faint but approving. "You see," she whispered, "humans do not need to be the biggest or fastest. They survive. That is why I chose you." Jake nodded. He had begun to understand. Humans were small compared to many of these aliens, but Earth had trained them differently. Storms, earthquakes, harsh gravity, they had all made him strong in ways no alien could predict. The cadets moved to the next challenge, a team test. Groups had to lift a heavy floating structure together, navigating a maze filled with shifting walls and traps. Many aliens struggled. Arguments broke out about strategy, and mistakes caused failures. Jake looked at Emma. "Let's do it our way," he said quietly. They worked carefully, communicating without words. Jake adjusted his weight, Emma guided the movement. Slowly, the structure moved through the maze. Other cadets stared, unsure how the humans managed. Finally, the structure reached the target. A quiet cheer spread. Lena's smile grew. "Observe and learn," she said. "Humans survive because they think, adapt, and endure. That is true strength." The final part of the day was a mental challenge. Cadets were given strange puzzles involving alien shapes, shifting platforms, and logic that seemed impossible. Many gave up, frustrated. Jake studied the puzzles. He remembered Earth problem-solving. Think carefully, adjust, and try again. Slowly, he solved the first puzzle. Slowly, the second. The other cadets stared, some took notes. "You are clever," Lena said softly. "Humans think differently, that is why you survive." By the end of the day, Jake was exhausted. His muscles ached, his chest heaved, and his mind felt drained. But he had survived every challenge. He had moved through the arena, lifted and balanced, solved puzzles, and endured where many aliens had failed. Lena walked beside him as they left. "You did well today," she said. "Many aliens underestimate humans. They forget that survival teaches strength, courage, and cleverness. Remember this lesson. It will help you tomorrow." Jake nodded, feeling a quiet pride. He had begun to understand why Lena had chosen him to sit beside her. Humans were not weak. They were small, yes, but endurance, courage, and cleverness made them strong. He had survived the arena, and more importantly, he had proven it to the aliens watching. As they walked through the glowing corridors back to their dorms, Jake realized something. Lena had not only taught him about strength, she had shown him that humans could be respected in a galaxy filled with giants and monsters. And that thought made him feel ready for whatever came next. The morning of the political visit was bright and clear. The academy was buzzing with energy, more than usual. Today, important leaders from several alien worlds were visiting. They came to see the cadets, the training, and the new exchange program. Jake felt nervous as he walked through the corridors with Lena. The walls shimmered, the lights floated gently, and the air was filled with soft hums from machinery he did not understand. "Today is important," Lena said, her violet eyes calm but serious. "The leaders will watch everyone closely. Mistakes are dangerous, not just embarrassing." Jake swallowed. "Dangerous?" he asked quietly. "Yes," Lena said. "Some species do not like humans. They may test you. Remember what you learned, observe, adapt, survive. That is what humans do." Jake nodded, trying to steady his nerves. He adjusted the strap of his pack and followed her into the large hall where the ceremony would take place. The hall was massive, filled with tables, platforms, and seats for hundreds of cadets. At the front, a long platform had been built for the visiting leaders. Flags and banners from many worlds hung from the ceiling. Cadets were in position, standing at attention or sitting in designated seats. The air smelled faintly of strange spices and glowing minerals. Jake scanned the room. Other cadets whispered and pointed at him. Some looked curious, some suspicious. He felt their attention but reminded himself of what Lena had said: humans survive when others fail. He took a deep breath and focused on staying calm. Lena led him to a seat beside her near the front. Her hand brushed lightly against his as she guided him. Jake's heart raced, not just from nerves but from the honor of sitting here beside the alien princess. "You will see the danger before it comes," Lena whispered. "Watch closely, stay ready." The ceremony began. Leaders spoke in strange languages. Their words echoed through the hall. Some cadets watched attentively, others fidgeted. Jake tried to follow along as best as he could. He noticed the different customs of each species, the way they bowed, how they moved their limbs, and the strange gestures they used to show respect. Suddenly, a loud noise cut through the hall. It was not part of the ceremony. Some guards shouted and the crowd froze. Jake saw movement at the far side of the hall. A group of hostile aliens had entered. Their skin was dark and rough, their eyes glowing red. They carried strange weapons that hummed with energy. The crowd gasped and cadets scattered in fear. Lena's hand gripped his arm firmly. "Stay close," she whispered. "Do not panic." Jake's heart pounded. He had trained in the arena, faced difficult exercises, but this was real danger. He could see the guards rushing to block the intruders, but there were too many. The hostile aliens moved fast, cutting a path toward the platform where Lena was seated. Jake's instincts kicked in. On Earth, he had faced storms, floods, and wild animals. He had learned to think fast, move quickly, and protect others. He did not know how to fight with alien weapons, but he knew he had to act. He grabbed Lena's hand. "Come," he shouted, pulling her toward the side exit. She did not hesitate. Together they moved quickly, ducking behind tables and strange glowing pillars. The hall was chaotic. Cadets screamed and alien leaders tried to retreat to safety. One hostile alien spotted them and raised its weapon. Jake froze for a split second. Then he remembered his training. On Earth, when danger came, humans used speed, unpredictability, and courage. He ducked low, rolled to the side, and pulled Lena with him. The alien's weapon missed by inches. "Keep moving," Jake shouted. They ran toward a side corridor. Guards were battling the intruders, but Jake saw an opening. He pushed Lena ahead and followed. The corridor led to a small platform above the main hall. From here, Jake could see the chaos below. Guards were struggling to contain the attackers. Many cadets were injured, though not seriously. The hostile aliens were strong, but they were not used to humans' unpredictable movements. Jake realized something. If they moved together and acted fast, they could reach the control panel that managed the hall's security doors. He pointed it out to Lena. "Help me get there," he said. "We can lock them out." She nodded. Together they ran across the narrow platform. It tilted slightly under their weight, but Jake adjusted his balance. Lena followed, moving carefully beside him. They reached the control panel, a strange floating device with glowing symbols. Jake studied it quickly. The symbols reminded him of something he had seen in training exercises. He pressed one carefully, then another. A soft hum filled the hall and the security doors began to close. The hostile aliens were trapped inside the main hall, unable to reach them. The cadets cheered quietly and the guards gained control. Jake and Lena stepped back, breathing heavily. He felt a strange mix of fear and pride. He had acted when no one else could. "You did well," Lena said, her violet eyes shining. "Humans think fast, that is why they survive. You saved many today." Jake shook his head, feeling overwhelmed. I just did what I had to," he said. "Exactly," Lena said. "That is courage. Courage is more important than strength. Remember that." The ceremony continued, now calmer. The leaders praised the cadets for bravery. The hostile aliens were restrained and removed. Jake stayed beside Lena, quiet but alert. He noticed the looks from other cadets. Some stared in awe, others whispered. For the first time, he felt not just respect, but recognition. Humans could survive where many species struggled. After the ceremony, Lena led him to a quieter area. The two of them sat on a small platform looking out over the hall. "You see," Lena said, "humans are underestimated. Many think you are weak, but you think fast, act quickly, and endure danger. That is why I chose you to sit beside me. You prove that humans are valuable, even in a hall full of the strongest aliens." Jake nodded slowly. He tried to absorb her words. He had always felt small among stronger people, but here, strength was more than muscles or speed. It was courage, endurance, and cleverness. "I never thought of it like that," Jake admitted. "Back on Earth, I just survived. I did what I had to." "That is why humans are respected in some parts of the galaxy," Lena said softly. "Survival is not weakness, it is strength." As they sat together, Jake realized how much he had changed in a short time. Yesterday, he had survived exercises. Today, he had faced real danger and acted when no one else could. The whispers about humans were no longer just rumors. Cadets had seen the truth. Lena stood. "You will rest now," she said. "Tomorrow the lessons continue, but remember today, you survived, you acted, you showed what humans can do." Jake followed her back to the dorms. His legs ached, and his chest was still heavy from running, but he felt alive in a way he had never felt before. The humans' reputation in this academy was changing, one small act of courage at a time. As he lay down that night, he thought about the ceremony, the dangerous aliens, and Lena's words. Humans were not weak. They were small, yes, but they had endurance, courage, and cleverness. That was more than enough in a universe full of giants, monsters, and powerful species. And sitting beside the alien princess had made all the difference. The morning was calm, but Jake could feel the tension in the air. The academy seemed quieter than usual. Cadets moved in small groups, whispering to each other, glancing toward him. After yesterday's incident during the political ceremony, everyone seemed to watch the humans differently. Jake felt a mix of nervousness and pride. Lena waited for him in the hall near the training arena. She looked calm, her violet eyes observing him carefully. Her light blue skin glowed softly in the morning light. She smiled faintly when she saw him. "You are ready," she said simply. "Today you will show more than courage. You will show trust." Jake nodded. He was not sure what she meant, but he followed her closely. His legs ached slightly from yesterday, but his heart felt lighter. He had survived real danger, and he had learned that humans had a strength that aliens often did not understand. The training arena was quiet, almost empty, except for a few instructors. Platforms floated in the air, walls shifted slightly, and the floor reflected the sky above. It looked peaceful, but Jake knew it could be dangerous in an instant. Lena led him to a central platform. "Today, we will do a final exercise," she said. "It is not about speed or strength. It is about trust and coordination. You will work with a team, but the success depends on your decisions. Be careful. Observe, adapt, survive." Jake glanced around. Other cadets watched silently. They had heard about his actions yesterday. Some eyes were curious, some respectful, some skeptical. He tried not to think about them. His focus was on the task. Lena handed him a small control device. "This will manage part of the arena. You will need it to guide the team. Others may not understand your methods. You must trust yourself." Jake studied the device. It was strange, with floating symbols and glowing panels. He pressed one gently and a part of the arena shifted. Platforms moved closer, some floated higher, others rotated. He realized he could control certain sections to help the team navigate safely. A group of cadets, including humans and aliens, approached. They were wary, unsure how to act. Some whispered among themselves. "Follow my lead," Jake said quietly to the humans beside him. "Watch the obstacles, move carefully." Lena stepped back slightly, observing. "Remember," she said, "humans survive by observing first, then acting." The team started. The first challenge was a moving platform over a deep pit. Many cadets hesitated. Jake guided the platform with the device, tilting it slightly to make the steps easier. He moved quickly but carefully. Humans and aliens alike followed, trusting his timing. One alien misstepped and nearly fell. Jake reached out instinctively and grabbed its arm, pulling it to safety. The cadet nodded silently, trust forming. Jake felt a small pride. He had saved someone, just as he had saved Lena during the ceremony. The next section involved shifting walls and spinning obstacles. The team argued briefly, unsure how to proceed. Jake adjusted the platforms with the device, creating a path that required precision but was safe. He directed the humans and aliens carefully, keeping an eye on every movement. "You see," Lena said softly beside him, "humans lead not with force but with intelligence. That is why they endure." The team reached the final section, a narrow bridge over a glowing energy field. It wobbled slightly and moved unpredictably. Cadets hesitated. Jake took a deep breath. He remembered Earth storms, earthquakes, and floods. Humans had survived in far worse conditions. "Follow me," he said. "Step carefully, trust each other. We will make it." One by one, cadets crossed. Jake adjusted the bridge slightly to keep it steady. When the last cadet stepped across safely, a quiet cheer went up. Some cadets clapped. Some stared in awe. Jake's heart raced, but he smiled faintly. Lena stepped forward. "You see, humans do not need to be the strongest or the fastest. They survive because they observe, adapt, and trust themselves. Today, you showed leadership, courage, and wisdom." Jake looked around. Cadets whispered, nodding, and some even bowed slightly. The reputation of humans in this academy had changed. Whispers that once doubted them now carried respect. After the exercise, Lena led Jake to a small balcony overlooking the training arena. The sun, or what passed for a sun in this part of the galaxy, cast a soft light across the floor. Jake felt the breeze on his face and took a deep breath. "You have grown," Lena said, "not just in skill but in understanding. Humans are often underestimated, but you have proven that survival is strength, courage is strength, intelligence is strength." Jake nodded slowly. He realized that sitting beside her, acting in the arena, and surviving the political ceremony had changed him. He had learned that humans had unique strengths that no alien could match. Endurance, courage, cleverness, all combined to make them formidable. "Why did you choose me?" he asked quietly. Lena looked at him, her violet eyes calm and steady. "I chose you because humans endure. You are small, yes, but your mind and courage make you strong. You act when others hesitate. You think when others panic. That is why you sit beside me." Jake felt a warmth in his chest. He had never thought of humans this way. On Earth, humans often struggled against bigger and stronger species, but here in this academy, his species, unique strengths were finally recognized. "Thank you," he said softly. "You do not need thanks," Lena said. "Your actions speak louder than words. Today, the Academy sees humans differently, not as weak newcomers but as survivors, as leaders, as allies." They walked back through the corridors together. Cadets looked at them quietly, some whispering. Jake noticed nods of respect, small gestures of acknowledgement. He felt proud but also humble. He had learned that courage and survival were more important than size or strength. As they reached the dorms, Lena paused. "Rest now," she said. "Tomorrow will bring new challenges, but remember what you have learned. Humans endure, humans adapt, humans survive. That is why you are here." Jake nodded. He lay down on his bed, exhausted but happy. He thought about the past few days, the arena, the whispers, the political ceremony, and the exercises. He realized that humans had something special. Lena had seen it. Others were beginning to see it. For the first time in a long time, Jake felt truly proud to be human. Not because of strength or skill alone, but because of courage, endurance, and cleverness. The next morning, cadets gathered for a final review. Leaders from many worlds attended. They watched as humans and aliens performed exercises, showing skill and coordination. Jake stood beside Lena, his confidence quiet but steady. "Observe the humans," Lena whispered to the group around her. "Do not underestimate them. They survive, adapt, and lead." The leaders watched closely as Jake and the other humans performed. Their movements were careful but precise, intelligent but brave. Whispers spread, nods of respect passed quietly through the crowd. After the review, Lena turned to Jake. "You have done well," she said. "The Academy respects humans now. You have proven that survival, courage, and intelligence are strength. Sit beside me, and the seat will no longer be just a place. It will be a symbol of trust, recognition, and respect." Jake felt a surge of pride. Sitting beside her was no longer just an honor. It was a sign that humans were valued in this vast galaxy. He smiled faintly. "I will remember," he said. "You must," Lena said. "Humans endure. That is why you sit beside me. That is why others will follow your example. That is why the galaxy will respect your species." As the sun set, casting soft colors across the academy, Jake looked out over the training grounds. He thought about the humans on Earth, surviving storms and hardships. He thought about Lena, guiding him, trusting him. He realized that humans were stronger than they had ever imagined, and now the galaxy was beginning to see it too. Sitting beside the alien princess, Jake felt a sense of calm and purpose. He knew there would be more challenges ahead, but he also knew one thing clearly. Humans endured. Humans survived. Humans could thrive even in a galaxy full of giants, monsters, and dangers. And for the first time, Jake felt that humans truly belonged among the stars.